The conversation is lively here, and so many are contacting us in response to this theme. Some of you just want to share your heartbreaking story of suffering and loss due to the suicide of a loved one. I received an email from a grieving Aunt Lois. Her 20-year-old nephew, Nolan Jewell, took his life last August. He was the captain of the Little Britain Merchants. His hockey number 5 was retired Saturday night, October 13th, at the Little Britain Hockey Arena. Lois writes, I have the book, Why They Die, and it is a wonderful resource and support guide. Nolan was a young man who loved to party and loved his friends and family. The symptoms of depression are not always visible. She concludes, we know the one who gives us hope. Well, our hearts go out to Nolan's family and friends. This story is remarkably similar to what Jamie and Cheryl French have experienced in the loss of their 20-year-old hockey star Dylan to suicide last January. We also have hockey coach Don Simmonds here. Dylan's number was also retired, Don, from the Uxbridge Tigers.
Yes, we've lost 2 out of 105 Tigers alumni over the last 10 years, the length of time the team has been there. 1 to a traffic accident, and of course Dylan. Sort of respect for our missing teammates, we retire their number. So.
You know, one of my concerns for anyone who's had a suicide in their family is the guilt and the concern that others might judge you as parents. Was that something that you thought you might have to deal with? Jamie and Cheryl.
I don't think at the beginning we even thought about being judged, and we hear often about stigma, and I would have to say that our experience in our community with our friends and our family and our church family is that no one has made us feel guilty, and no one haven't felt stigmatized. If you have to grieve, we've actually been grieving in luxury and prayed for and upheld and loved and hugged. But the guilt that I carry as a mom, missing that oncoming choice, is horrific.
Isaac Dinesen, who wrote Out of Africa, said, all sorrows can be born if we put them in a story or tell a story about them. Dawn, you've been telling this story for months now. I think it's been cathartic for you. I want to hear from all of you. Is talking about this helpful for you personally? It's certainly meaningful for us. Dawn?
Well, I'll start with Jamie and Cheryl's permission and Nicole. You know, I asked if Dylan's story could be told. It's partly my story too, of course, but out of respect for them and their willingness to allow us to tell it, I think it's redemptive. I think we all look for some way to make it more worthwhile. I think the concern that we all have for other kids that are right now facing the same challenge that perhaps no one knows about is one of the reasons we're so strongly causing the alarm and sounding the alarm and trying to do something tangible to help. But I can't thank Jamie and Cheryl enough for allowing us to, in a sense, unfold this. Every time we do this, it brings it all back. But maybe you could share if it's how it is for you.
I mean, it's been unbelievably helpful in the healing process. Talking with Dylan's friends, talking with people in general. It seems like every time you do talk about it, you inch a little bit more forward in a grieving process. It's something that you can't avoid. You have to go through it, and we've learned that. But certainly, the healing process does take effect by talking about the story, and talking with other kids for me has been really beneficial.
Well, Cheryl just said, are there young people watching this program? You want to say something to them.
I really do. Don, through the Tigers, helped to institute an award, and a really amazing young tiger was given this in Dylan's memory. We were asked to just say anything at commencement, and all that I would say to kids, if you're watching, is, you know, whatever this is that's causing you this horrible pain right now, it will be gone shortly. And if you make a decision, your pain doesn't go away. The people that love you carry it forever. And there's hope. There's hope in Jesus, and there's hope in people around you who love you. So talk to someone, maybe not your mom and dad, but just someone, anyone at all. Just, there is hope. Hang on, because we love you.
It's beautiful. It's so true. Were you angry at Dylan for doing this? Are you angry?
No.
Angry at God?
No.
No. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's, and I think, and listening to Jerry in the last week and a bit, you understand that when kids are, or anybody in general, gets to that point, it's really a decision, and we've talked about the evil spirits and the devil taking hold of them at that time. It's something that happens that I believe that at that point it's out of control. They have, at that point, they have no hope. And I was just talking to the gentleman during the break there about Jerry, about you know, these kids, they think they can go it alone, right? And they try to muster through it alone, and when things are going well, they can somehow stumble through it. But when something goes astray, like school or loss, you know, they lose their girlfriend or whatever it is, then they have to rely on themselves. And they're kids. A lot of these are kids, and they just don't know how to cope with that. And without, I believe, without God to reach out in those hours of need, that it's very difficult. Or someone, like Cheryl said, someone as a mentor to come alongside of them. I think it's crucial.
I want to remind our viewers that Dylan made a very real commitment to Christ at Acquire the Fire. Don was reminding me. But still that conflict, you know, he's living in a war zone. And Cheryl, you told me just yesterday you had the courage for the first time to look into Dylan's phone messages.
I did. I haven't been able to look. Jamie looked right away, and it's a different world in there. There was a conversation he had with us, and that was the Dylan that we thought we knew really well. And there was another Dylan that just was, there were just conversations in there that felt dark, and it was sad. It was really, really sad to think that can be so hidden.
Well, and the other thing is, a lot of the conversation that was coming into Dylan, and that's what I fear for these kids. Before, like, you know, 5-6 years ago, it was all on the internet and on the computer. Now with these, you know, portable phones that are computers, they can hide this information, or the information when they do come home to the sanctuary of their own house, it still comes in, right? So it's like, it ties right in with Don's perfect storm.
Perfect storm, and I must say, as parents, it can leave us feeling powerless. Don?
Well, that's for sure. I mean, it's perhaps the reason I'm so concerned about it, speaking so overtly and strongly about it. Not that we haven't faced a culture of diluted values before, but I will say the foundations of faith in our young people they're weakened, and of course, dominated by messages of the media that, you know, a young person, we have to remember, doesn't know how to reference truth. So if they're told something 100 times a month,
Their brains aren't even fully developed yet.
They tend to believe it. And of course, this fourth storm, which Jamie just put in perspective for us, frankly was, I mean, I know about the technology, and I've watched it, and I've used it and experienced it, but I think it was the moment I walked into Jamie and Cheryl's home a couple days after Dylan took his life, where Jamie was wondering whether he should look. Is it violating Dylan to look? or will it give us some kind of sense of what was up? And that has inspired me to take this fourth storm of personalizing technology and try and make people realize that the concerns of either a mental illness or struggle or some kind of pain that a parent may not even know about, unfortunately they can bury themselves in a world, but it's extremely hollow and lonely, and the truth is not there. But they think they're, in a sense, reaching out to people and so forth, but it's a technical, electronic relationship when in fact they need to reach out. So that fourth storm, personalizing technology, on top of everything else, creates this perfect storm, which we believe Dylan was a casualty of.
Well, I don't have time to read the whole email here, but I want to thank Ruth. Very concerned about this issue and really wondering if a corporate nationwide prayer strategy, this program has called the nation to its knees before, if my people. I just wonder if that is something we need to be considering, and I don't want to let us say goodbye without looking at just a couple of pages of younger Dylan here. And he was part of, I'm going to flip the page. I know I want to stay there too. A band. There he is. That's more recent. And what was the name of the band, Mum?
In Lights.
In Lights.
Lights.
Well, I'm thankful that Dylan is in the presence of everlasting light today. And the great God of stewardship wastes nothing of our experience. And I want to thank all three of you for being a rich example of that. And we're going to be praying for the French family and for our CEO as he leads us into every way that we are able to make a difference in this culture. I cannot believe J.K. Rowling's analysis of young people, sex, and death. We got to change that, and we're committed to that. Thank you for standing with us in it. Thank you, dear Mom and Dad, for coming and sharing this story, and we will be praying for you.